everybody. Welcome. Hello. Hi guys. Welcome, welcome, welcome. Big welcome Diane, who was first in here, and then Savannah. And we've got Helen, Lisa. Hi guys. Linda, Alicia. Hello. Look at this cute little kitty. He reminds me of my old cat, Lulu. We called him Lulu, but his real name was Lucifer. Hi Abby, welcome. Hi guys, and Lucifer was a little character. He was one of my favourite kitties that I've had in my life. He was a little strange and really, really cuddly. Hello. Hi Shannon, welcome. Welcome everyone. Lovely, lovely, lovely. I was just sitting here adding in some ink into some of these markers that I know I'm going to be using today. I'm going to do a black cat. And Alicia is going to write down the colours that I use so that I can do a conversion for patrons. Hopefully I'll get this one finished today. This actually reminds me, or the background part of it reminds me of an image I did when I first started colouring. I've always loved grayscale, and one of the colouring pages that I did in the earlier days was a forest scene, and I loved it, and this kind of reminds me of that, the background part of it. So a bit of fun. I'm just refilling the markers that I have refills for now, so that while we're colouring today I don't have to stop too much and refill. I may have to because it is an A4 page, and that kitty is quite big on that page. So yeah, I'm just sort of popping a little bit of ink in to my greys because I know I'm going to be using those. So I've actually done a Lisa Marie image before. I've actually done two of them. I did a puppy dog, which is in this book, and also a cat, which is also in this book. So, which is kind of cool. And Lisa brought her PD. I knew that was going to happen. Just give me a second. I'll let Shadow in. You heard us talking about cats, didn't you? Come on in. Come on in. Oh, come on. I'm busy. I'm working. I'm working. You gonna come say hello? Well, come on then. Shadow's just decided to come and say hello. Hi. Hello. Really? Bit of a chatterbox today. So Lisa brought this book out on the 1st. She's doing a lot of little promotions and things for it, so pop over and check out her Facebook page and Instagram, hello, where you can find competitions and stuff that she's doing this week for her new book. Hello. Hello. And say hi to Shadow. Hi Kelly. Hi Cassandra. Helen, Abby. Anyone new come in? Loretta, hello. Pat, hello. Welcome everybody. Welcome, welcome, welcome to the big blue house. Sorry, it pops into my head every time I say welcome. So welcome. Welcome. It's very cool. So you guys have obviously heard about Sammy's big collab that she's organised. We've got 6 streamers, Sammy, myself. I need to get my list out because I don't want to say them wrong. Okay, so we've got Laura Rafferty, it's Passionista Colorista, which is Isabel, colouring with Vicky. Honor is doing a stream as well, and of course Sammy and myself. So very cool big event going on next weekend. So I'll actually be streaming 3 times within like 48 hours or something. So it's going to be a big weekend next week, and it's a great big steampunk event. It's called, this is a mouthful also, the Mid-November Steampunk Colouring Freakout. So this has been in the plans for a couple of months. Sammy's been organising all these beautiful artists to do us all steampunk images, and it's very exciting and a bit of fun. So all of the images for the weekend next weekend will be on sale. A couple of them are free, which is really cool, and then they'll go back to normal prices after the weekend. So the weekend will be the time to grab them, and then obviously when you post them, you want to post them under the hashtag steampunk freakout, which is so cool. How much fun is that going to be? I'm very excited. Very excited. Hi guys, welcome. Hi Dawn. Hi Kathy. So yeah, bit of fun. They look awesome, Helen. I'm very excited. I managed to organise one with Nathaniel Wake as well, which he's doing for free. So actually I've decided that I'm going to move the Faith Rose image that we're supposed to do this month. I'm going to move it to December because we've got so much other stuff going on. And I've got a Nathaniel Wake book next Friday, or for Friday, coming into the steampunk weekend. So I figured we'll do a flip through of that book and do an image from him, and then over the weekend we'll do the steampunk stuff. So pretty cool. We may even have to do steampunk the following week too, because yeah, we'll see. I've also got a little bit of a buddy thing going on with Sean. We're going to be doing Nell Shoemaker, who's also in the steampunk event too, so that's cool. But I'm going to do a little bit of advertising of a couple of her books too, so that's coming up too. So that'll be all in November. It's huge. A huge November. Hopefully they'll be good priced. I don't know the prices of them yet. I don't know what the discounts will be, but hopefully they'll be a good price, and there'll be a couple of free as well, so that's cool. I think Laura's is going to be free and Nathaniel Wake's is free too. So, but yes, very cool, very exciting, lots of fun. Hi Lulu. We were just talking about my cat named Lulu. Anyway, short for Lucifer though. I'm sure that's not what Lulu's short for. But yeah, so really exciting. So very exciting. Do you want to see them? I think Sammy's posted them up. I'm just going to grab my Instagram, because Sammy's so organized. She's also done a video. I've posted it on my community wall on YouTube, so you can pop over and check that out as well. Let's see what she's got here. So there'll be images from Christine Caran, Mariola Budick, Laura Rafferty, Sarah Richter, Deborah Mueller, Isabella, which is Rosa Wanamama, Grazia Salvo, Kim White, Nelek Shoemaker, I don't know how to say her name fully, but Dawn Davidson, Lisa Matrokin, Monya Gates, Jennifer Zimmerman, Nathaniel Wake. So there's heaps of images. Okay, here we go. It's really hard on Instagram because you can't kind of zoom in on them, but we've got Lisa Matrokin, Laura, Sarah Richter. We've got a cute little one from Dawn Davidson there. I really like Monya Gates. I think I might do hers. And I really like Jennifer Zimmerman's too. Kim White there. Deborah Mueller. Christine Caran. She's done a line art and a grayscale. Let's have a look. Yeah, this one's Jennifer Zimmerman in the middle. I quite like that too. I might do that one. We'll see. It's Grazia, Nell. There's a free one from Nathaniel Wake. It's quite cool. She's standing on a gear. Oh, this one by Isabella's cute too. Mariola's is beautiful. That's it. So some awesome images. It's going to be fun. Yay! You're shocked about it? Why are you shocked about it? Oh, let me look. What was wrong with it? I think it's cute. What's wrong with it? Did you like it or not like it? I'm actually doing a colour along next year with Lisa too, Lisa Matrokin, so that's cool. I've done a few images of hers, but I haven't done a lot. That'll be fun. Yes, yes it will. It would, mate. It would. You're very right. All of those artists in together would make a good Colouring Heaven magazine. I think they'll be pretty well priced. Yeah, for the event, I think they're going to be fairly good. I know that Christine Caran always does hers really cheap. So it is just for the 48 hours. So yeah, but it's exciting. Very exciting. Stoked. Okay, Cap, cool. Awesome. Alright, so we're going to be doing a Lisa Marie image today. I'm going to show you the new book. She's actually got two books. She's got number 1 and number 2, but I'll be doing number 2 today. There's a couple of links here for you. There's one, physical books available on Etsy. No, physical books available on Amazon. PDF books available on Etsy. I've just posted both the links up there for you as well. Hi Laura, welcome. So you can check them out there. I'm going to do a quick flip through for you so you can have a look at the book. It's quite cute. I did have to adjust a couple of the pictures slightly because I had trouble converting them from the PDF to JPEG so I could flip through them for you. So some of them might be slightly off looking due to the conversion. Sorry. I did try to fix them up, but I didn't realize until this morning that they weren't quite right. So that does happen sometimes when you convert a PDF to image files, so doesn't matter. It's done. I've done my best. So let's have a look at it, guys. that was it. So I've coloured, this one was, I think it's only the eyes in the book though. It's kind of cut off a little bit. But that little puppy dog and also their kitty, and Sammy did the kitty too, so it's very cute. Already, today we're going to do this cat, which I am formally naming Lulu in honor of my cat Lulu, Lucifer. So welcome Sammy and welcome Brittany. Hi guys. Holly, welcome. Debbie, welcome. Come in. It's going to be awesome, Sammy. We just spent the last 5 minutes talking about it, so we're all very excited. Very excited. It's going to be fun. Excuse me. Oh, Maria, thank you. I think it's like 2 or 3 off. I'm just going to have a quick look because it said that for me. Oh my God, no, it's hit it. Just like it's literally 5,000 right now. Thank you so much, Diane. Gosh, that just went up this morning. Yay! Yay! So exciting! Halfway to my big goal. This was one of my little goals, so I'm wrapped. Very exciting. Halfway to the big goal. Very, very cool. Very, very cool. I'm just updating my Facebook post to make sure everybody's seen, and then we'll get started. Hi Sue. Oh, it's so exciting. 5,000 subscribers. Woohoo. Well, you know what's really interesting? Last Christmas we celebrated my 3,000 subscribers. So in a year I've gained another 2,000. So awesome. Awesome, awesome, awesome. Yes. Awesome. Thank you. Thank you, thank you, thank you. All right. So hi Zealy, welcome. Anyone else that sort of snuck in there? I said Maria. Hello, Holly. Yeah, I think I've grabbed everybody. It's hard. The chat goes so quick, guys. You guys are chatty chatties, and I love it. Thank you. Thanks, guys. Yes, very exciting. Very exciting. So I did say that I was going to do a giveaway at 5,000. So I'll have to organize that. I haven't done it yet. I have what I'm giving away organized. I'm going to give away one of my little froggy sharpeners. But I haven't organized the details yet because, yeah, it's just been so busy. So my daughter wanted her hair blue. This took up my whole weekend, actually. She said that when she finished school, she was going to dye her hair blue. Now, she's got dark brown hair. Almost black colored hair, so I was like, oh, it could be a bit of a problem because they're going to bleach it and they might need to bleach it a few times, and then they put the color on it, it might not work as well as you think, and all that sort of stuff. Anyway, she decided she wanted to do it blue. So we went to the hairdressers, and look, the hairdresser did an awesome job. She tried the best she could to get it done, and we only had a few hours, so it was quite a big day on Saturday. So I spent nearly the whole day at the hairdressers doing this, and a little bit of money. And when we put the color on, it looked blue when we put it on, but it actually came out green. So this was the color of her hair. Now it was kind of an aqua green, a little bit like mermaid green, I call it. And it actually looked quite good, but she didn't want green. She wanted it blue. So she thought it was pretty, but she wasn't happy with it. So I spent the entire day yesterday. I think we did it twice. We had to wash it with special shampoo to open the pores up. Then we had to put the first lot of blue on, leave it on for an hour, shampoo it, no conditioning, dry it off completely, and then reapply a second layer to get rid of any sort of sections that weren't quite right. So it ended up taking me all day to do her hair. However, let's have a look at the finished product because she's absolutely in love with it. And it looks amazing. So let's have a look. This is her lovely blue hair now. But it wasted my whole weekend. The whole weekend gone just to do this beautiful blue hair for her. So she's absolutely wrapped now. It's not green, it's now blue. So she's over the moon. But oh, do we look, so much time on our kids, I tell you. Those that have kids will know that. Or even pets, in fact. Hi, Jo Beth, welcome. So yeah, it's a huge effort. So that's what I was busy doing this weekend, trying to avoid the crisis of being upset about having green hair and not blue. But she absolutely loved it. Finally, looks good. She's happy. But oh my gosh, a weekend. So yeah, it was good fun. We put some of the dye into a conditioner as well, so when she conditions it, it should revamp it each time, so that's good. Hopefully it will stay nice and shiny and last a little bit of time before we have to redo it, because it will fade out. But yeah, a fortune spent and done. But good fun. Hey Alicia, good fun. Not really. I have a very sore back from bending over the bath, washing her hair out. But it's always worth it. Okay. Let's do us a little black cat, shall we? I'm just trying to think of what colour eyes I want to do. I think I'm going to do like yellow eyes. Because, oh, I don't know, I just like yellow. We'll do yellow, green, and yellow. Alrighty, let's do this. And a tiny bit of Y38 first. I'm just going to put some in the shadows. First, I love cat's eyes. They're amazing. It's beautiful to look at. So this image is printed on Neenah today. I went Neenah. And then I had to print it. It's been printed on the paper twice, so I actually heat set it with my heat gun just to make sure, because I had a fair bit of ink on the page. I did. Hi Crystal, welcome. So Jo Beth, you were just live too? Oh, no worries, Sammy. Thanks for joining. Very excited about next week. Do you know that I'm actually going to be streaming 3 times next week within like 48 hours? I've got a little bit of Y15. So I'm going to be tired. It's worth it. All this fun going on. And then a little bit of the YG21. Oh, I hope it went well. I didn't get to drop in. I was busy fixing up the flip through for this one. And I've got YG21, which is like a yellow green. It's called a niece. I've just come over the top of all of that previous colour. So these images are all very grayscale, so really dark. But on Patreon I did do a full video of the doggy, and I did him with Polychromos pencils as well, just to show an example of how to do both markers and pencils. Pencils I find cover over grayscale a lot better, but it's not impossible with markers. There he is. I think I need a little bit brighter. Let me think. Let me think. A bit of Y02 maybe. Don't know if that's going to work, but let's go with some white pencil. I'm going to zoom in. Cab, we changed our... Hi Deb, welcome. We changed our clocks a couple of weeks ago, so it was a little weird to us, but we went back because it was it's coming into summer here, so longer days. It's coming into summer. It's really freezing right now. I'm gonna use, where is it? Here we go, Prismacolor white. Zoom in a little bit. Hiya, beautiful kitty. You are so pretty. Yes, you are. Just gonna add some little white specks around the outside here just to lighten up some of these spots. I was just saying, Sammy, I think I might colour Jennifer Zimmerman's image and maybe Monya Gates, because I really like both of them, and they're grayscale, of course. You know how much I like grayscale. Grayscale. I need some black. Let's go with a special black. Just coming around the darkest area of the eye here. He's a pretty fella, this one. Looks like he's got a little bit of a reflection in those darkest parts. So I'm going to go back in with a lighter colour. And then the white again. So let's go with a little bit of W7. Where are you? Who just came in? Did I miss someone? Was it Shelley? Did Shelley come in? Where did you go? I can't see you. Where is Shelley? Oh, there she is. I spotted her. She's in blue. I forgot. Oh, dear me. Oh, Helen, you did awesome. It looks so good, your coven. Well done. Finished, finished, finished. I've got one more to do to get to 10. I started off so good too, and it just got it just got so busy with the rest of Halloween. It did. back to white again. Just adding in our little highlights through the eye. It's nice. I think we need a little bit of a line this way as well, just to match the other side a little bit better. He looks cool, huh? Alright, I just put a little bit of white Postal just to make that a little bit brighter, like the other side. Okay. He's spunky. Mr. Kitty's eyes are done. Holy moly, Helen. 15. Good job. Very good job. I've just got the Copic multi-liner. I'm not sure if, I don't have anything smaller than, bigger than the, I'm kind of there's a big gap between 0.5 and 0.03, but I'll just use one of them. Just to fill out the details around the outside of the eye. Now his nose is going to be quite dark in some of these areas as well, so I'm just going to use that multi-liner in his nose in those darkest areas. Because there's a fair bit of detail in there, and doing that with a black marker can be difficult. Okay, I think I'm quite happy with that. Got all our darkies bitsies in. Hi Rochelle, welcome. Hi Pam, welcome guys, come in. We just having some fun with Lisa Marie. Alright, now for this black kitty, my black kitty had a little bit of brown, like in the sun you could see like a tiny little bit of like a cocoa color coming through, but only in some spots. Usually it was around the eye area and around the top of the nose here, and also a little bit in the ears too. So I'm going to use a brown, like, let's go with hazelnut, which is E23. And I'm just going to put a little bit in there. So I'm just going to use flicking motions. Do you guys all know how to flick with markers? Just do a thing, just holding however you find it comfortable, but just flicking the marker like you're doing a tick, like that, except you're missing that little tick bit, you're just flicking. I just practice flicking with a black or something that I can refill quite readily, and just flick on a page just to practice flicking. A lot of this is going to be covered over with the darker colours, but I want to add it in here, so it's in here. Just filling in some colour in here. A little bit on the nose. Oh, that sounded funny. No, he's not on the nose. He doesn't smell. Well, I'm sure he does smell with his own nose, but you know what I mean. Cats don't... I don't think cats smell as bad as dogs. Although their litter can get smelly. Yes, they can. Don't make lies up. Little miss. Let's put a couple of streaks of this through the front section here. I don't want it to be all over. I just want it to be in little patches near the lighter areas, I guess. Zoom out again. Hi back, welcome. Don't avoid it, just have a go. Yeah, that's right, Diane. They have a bit of a mixture. Hi, Crystal again. Hello, Shadow. Yes, she's here. She's playing around. She's playing around. Alright, and I think I might start with my lighter colours. I think the lightest colour I'll probably go will be maybe a little bit of W1. And I'm just going to come in over the top of all that brown. So I get into any areas that I may have missed. The image is grey already, but the W grey is a warm grey, so it's got a little bit of a brown tone to it. So it will change the colour of the paper slightly. It's not going to be, you know, just white paper underneath. I'm just going to run over all of the areas, and I'm just using a flat marker to do that. All of these light areas. My daughter's at her last maths exam, and then she's only got one more exam till she's finished. And we're all hanging out to see how she goes with her results, see if she gets into uni. Squeak, squeak, squeak. Okay, so I've covered over all of that with the warm grey one. Now I'm going to go in, I think we'll go in with our darkest colour. So we've got our lightest and then our darkest. You're all witched out. I think I'm a little bit witched out too. I've like crazily... I did a lot of them. I did a lot of them with watercolor because it was a little bit easier and quicker to do. But yes, I've got heaps of refills, so it's all good. Now I've done light, I'm going to go with dark. So in the darkest areas, I've got W9, and I'm going to do some flicking again. Let's do some flicking. I just noticed my W9 marker nib is a little bit damaged, so I probably could have changed it. It's gone a little bit flat, which makes those skinnier lines a little bit harder. It's all good. I'm using the grayscale as a guide to where I'm putting the darkest areas as well. So wherever it's dark here, I'm covering over the really black areas. Starting to fill in the nose a little bit. Kind of flicking up and then back down. Hi Kenny! Oh, you guys are awesome. I can't believe you've done that many witches. My poor patrons have probably been witched out too. I've probably lost a few this month due to only having witches on Patreon. I mean, lucky they were pretty witches. Still, it's not... Patreon's about, you know, learning different techniques. It's not always about the images that are being done. It's about how the images are being done and using them and applying them to your own colouring pages. So I'm hoping that even though they were all witches, people still got a bit out of them. That's what it's there for, to learn for everything, not just particular images. I will go over some of those whiskers with a white gel pen at the end just to add some reflection on them, because they are black, they've just got shining light on them. Belinda never happened. You get sick of them. That's good. I'm glad. There's still one more to go. I pulled out my Nocturnes colouring book. I think I need to do another image from that Ellie Caldeva one. Anastasia Ellie Caldeva. It's been a while since I've done one in there. I actually can't wait to do Jennifer Zimmerman's one. It's been ages since I've done any of hers too. Also, I noticed I haven't done a Momo Girl one for a while. It's been a little while. It's closer to the start of the year when I did the violin one. Oh, hang on. I did the music one too. Yeah, I did do another one. I did with flowers and Copics. That was a cool one. I like Momo Girl too. Oh, Shelley, I've decided to do Jennifer Zimmerman, and I think I'll do, because I'm doing two, and I think I'll do Monya Gates. I really do like Monya Gates, and Monya's a lovely lady too. So is Jennifer in that fact. In fact, all of the artists are. It's so hard to choose, but I think I'll choose those because they're grayscale, and I don't know if any others will do grayscale. Most likely they won't, so why not? Actually, I don't know. We haven't really talked about it as a group of what we're each doing yet. Should be a bit of fun. There's also a giveaway. Sammy's doing a giveaway as well, so that's kind of cool too. So make sure you do pop over and check out Sammy's channel if you haven't already. I'm sure you all have though. She's awesome. Okay, so we're starting to fill out all the black now. She's looking cool, aren't you, Mr. Lulu? Dedicating this to my baby cat. He was hit by a car twice. He had his tail broken twice. He was always in fights. He had a couple of massive cysts on his face. A few times it happened where he'd gotten fights and head on. He was a alpha for sure. And we ended up having to have him put down. The last time he was hit by a car, surprisingly he did quite well, but he damaged his bow, and it was okay when he was an outside cat, but because we were moving and we had to have him inside for a while, it just got ridiculously crazy with going to the toilet all the time, to the point where you know, you'd change a litter and 5 minutes later he was in there again. Yeah, he just lost control of it. But he lived a long and happy life, that one. Just gradually moving down off the face. Coming down into these darker areas down here. Just trying to keep the whiskers free, but it is hard because they're mixed in with everything else. Looking good. Looking good. Christine and Sarah. Well, Christine's is grayscale too. But I was saying that I might need to do another week of the steampunk because there's so many cool images. I'm not sure. I think everybody's just going to do what they feel like they want to do, Shelley. So I don't think we've planned to do anything in particular. Okay, I think I'm going to stop and I want to do the face first. So coming down to W7. Well, Cab, that's my intention, to make things. Hi, May, welcome. Is to make it look easier and make that, I guess, anxiety of giving it a go less the case. Because fur, it's just flick. It's just flick. Pencils is the same. It's no different. Just flick the direction the fur is going. It's hard with dog hair, like, or cat hair and animal hair. Dog hair in particular, I find sometimes the change of direction in the hair. I've noticed on my dog. Actually, Alicia, if you're watching and listening, send me the picture of that elephant face of the dog, because I can show the way the hair moves on a dog and how it changes directions. She has these cute little swirly spots on her where the fur changes directions, and they look like little swirls, and it's really evident in her fur because she's got short hair, but it actually happens in pretty much all dogs. So you could have hair going in one particular direction, and then all of a sudden it's going, like down here, you've got hair coming in different directions. It's kind of cool. Got it a little bit down here where it's going down and then across, changing directions. Oh, he's so pretty. Oh, that's good, Crystal. I love black cats. Here we go, she's just sent me a picture. We took a photo of this because she lays like a frog. Nani is a frog, our dog. She lays with her feet out the back and her tail down. But I'm going to show you, we took a photo of it because she looks like an elephant. You ready? Let's have a look at this elephant butt. Here we go, here's our dog's butt. So there's a trunk and there's the eyes. But here, the little fur, it builds up and goes in a circle where it changes directions. So on her leg here, it just stops completely, comes down that way, and then comes back up that way. So you've got this like a ripple of hair coming around. It's very cute. Very, very cute. That's Nani. We called her elephant butt that day because her butt looked like an elephant. But yeah, the fur kind of butts up one way and then comes back the other way and leaves like little ripples in the fur or lines. It's pretty groovy. Pretty groovy. Come back on this side. It's amazing what things occur in nature. Just amazing. Just in the ear here, I'm just sort of filling in the colour because it's kind of smooth inside the ear. There'll be hair flicking down into it most likely, but in here I'm just doing it a little bit smoother. Turning my page so I can get a good angle on the way I'm flicking. Back down over the mouth here. It's fascinating. She is huge now. She's big girl. This morning she came running into me while I was getting the flip through and everything organized, and she's trying to jump on my lap. I'm like, seriously, Nani, you are far too big for that now. Like, I cannot pick you up anymore. She's a big sooky baby. She likes cuddles. This morning I was sitting up having my cuppa in bed, and usually Shadow comes up and sits between my legs and has a cuddle. She didn't this morning, but Nani decided that she was going to, so she was up trying to sit on my lap. Sitting there drinking my cuppa. I'm like, seriously, dog, you're a sook. It's cute. Looking good. Just gradually filling in this nose. Trying to keep some lighter areas for the next colour. They're boxes, are they, Dawn? My family used to have boxes. Hi, Seth. Oh, I'm so sorry, Linda. Sad when we lose our babies. We lost our big baby a couple of years ago, and we decided not to get another dog because we still had our little Maltese Shih Tzu. And then when she passed away at Christmas last year, we decided we probably wouldn't get another dog until we met Nani. This is our W5 now. And I'm just going to fill in a fair bit of fur, leaving a couple of spots lighter. It's actually a public holiday here tomorrow in Victoria. So a lot of people have the day off today as well. They've made it like a long weekend. But tomorrow is our Melbourne Cup day, which is horse racing. Spring carnival's pretty much over, and we're heading into finishing up horse racing season. Well, the big horse racing stuff anyway. And we actually have a public holiday here. Well, in the metro areas we do. I'm not sure if it's still in the country areas or not. Yeah, it's weird. Everybody has a day off to go gamble. We've got it right here in Australia. Yeah. Goodness me. Alright, I'm going to use some W3 and finish it all off now. So I'm just going to come over everything. Just flick out to the edges so that we're getting that sort of fur look, but over pretty much everything else, just sort of flicking through and grabbing where I haven't coloured yet, and making sure there's a bit of colour down. So the brown is coming through. You can kind of, it's hard to see in this light, but you can still see some of the brown coming through there, and also around the eyes. Up on the nose here is covered over a little bit, but we can still see some of it through there. going over the rest of the nose. Just like that. Hello, Shadow. Are you telling me somebody's here? I think my dad is here. I think they're having a cuppa in the kitchen. Can hear the kettle going and the cups tinking. Okay, I'm going to stop there. Pretty much the rest of the cat's going to be the same, but I want to concentrate on these whiskers a little bit. I want to give him a little bit of some shiny spots just on the nose using a pencil there. Just a couple of areas that are shiny. A little bit of white just flicking around his eye here. Adding some highlights there. Okay, now I'm going to have a quick look at the original image and make sure I get those whiskers right. So I've got, yep, that looks good. I've got one coming kind of over and across here. Just giving them a little bit of a highlight. Sun reflecting off them. One big whisker coming down here. Kind of looks a bit strange down here. He's got some long whiskers coming over his mouth here as well. Just drawing them in. And what we might do is when we finish this background area here, I might just flick a few of these back out into that background a little bit. But I've just wanted to mark them out, get them done. Put a couple in the top of the ears here too. White pencil and Copics is so awesome. There's usually a couple of whiskers above the eyes there too, so I'm just going to add them in. I'm quite happy with that. Oh, he's come to life. How quick was that? He's so pretty. This is Neenah. I've got Neenah again, those that were asking. Just got a bit of Neenah, and I'm just flicking that grey out to the very edge. There's a couple of bits I missed there. I was actually considering, because I knew this book was coming out, Lisa prepared me a while ago, and I was thinking about doing the Black Cat for Halloween, but because we had so much other stuff happen, it totally got missed. Oh, Shadow. Eating and watching. Alright, I'm going to continue on down here. Actually, let's do some of this background and then we can move down. I think I might do a bit of a pink sky. I've got some RV23. And I'm just going to come in between the trees here a little bit. A little bit in here. it's like fairly blurry, so there's nothing really defined here in the background. There's a few areas that you can see that are clear, but just keeping in mind that there's a fair bit of foliage in there. This is coming up here. It's so hard to see. Actually, I think that might be a tree again there. It's not very clear to me. Oh no, I think that's middle. Yeah, that's sky in there. We'll just make it sky even if it's not. We're just going to give it a go. That was RV23. Hello, Shadow. I'm going to put a little bit of some wire. No, you can't get up there. Why? Because there's stuff in the way. Okay? Because there's stuff in the way. She doesn't think there is. She thinks that she can get up here. There's room for her always. So sketch and chow are the same. They're exactly the same marker, except the sketch are larger and have more ink in them, so they're a wider. I have both. I collected all the chows first because they were cheaper, and then I added in the sketch. I did get sketch in the skin colours because I use them most, obviously. But they're exactly the same. The colours are the same, the ink refills are the same, there's no difference. Except the fact that one is larger than the other. Obviously sketch comes in every single colour. The chow doesn't come in every single colour, it comes in select colour. A select colour range. That didn't come out right when I was trying to say that then. So just coming in between and grabbing the sections of sky in between. I'm not worried about coming over the green of the trees because they're going to be darker and you won't be able to see this through it because it's quite a light colour. But you'll still be able to see those little peaky sections of sky coming through. Now anywhere that I have coloured that is tree, I can go over and add tree colour to it. Because markers are awesome and clever like that. Oh, it's going to look so cool. I'm glad I picked this one. Sometimes I sit there looking at the images and it's like, which one am I going to do today? Running out of ink on that. Let's go up a little bit. Do a YR00. Especially over those pink areas. Just blend those out a little bit. Sometimes it's hard to pick an image to do. Sometimes something just pops out and it's like, oh yeah, I want to do that one. Sometimes that makes it hard though, especially when you can't decide or when I can't decide. It makes it hard because I'm running out of that marker as well, which sucks. Just to pretend it's the same colour. It's almost exactly the same, so I'm just not even going to mention that one. Alright. I'll zoom out a little bit so you can see it. Because I know that when it's an image that I don't particularly feel like doing, that I don't do as well with them. So of course I want to try and do the best I can. I've got some E79. This tree here has lines on it. It's kind of a strange looking, weird tree. So I've got E79 for the darkest areas. I like the E70 colours for trees. They always come out awesome. So there's another tree behind here, but it kind of bends off in the other direction. Anyhow, I'm just glad I picked this one, is what I was getting at a minute ago. So hard to choose. This is all kind of going to get a little bit blurry when I come over with the lighter colours and also with the greens. So it's not going to look quite as defined as it does now. Bye, Seth! I haven't tried them. Prismacolor ones. For some reason I thought they were being discontinued. I don't know why that thought is in my head here now. Perhaps I'm wrong. I've got a feeling I might have to go back over these again later to see how it looks. So we put the leaves on. A little such a cute kitty. I think Lisa does commissions too. And original artworks. We all love our kitties, don't we? So, and pets are our fur babies. We want to remember them as much as we can. Okay. They've been re-released. Oh, okay. So they must have redid them. Bye, Hi Rochelle, thank you. E727. So we are still going to do Faith Rose's ballerina, but we might do that in December, I think, because we've got this steampunk thing, and I'm going to do a little bit of Nell and some Nathaniel Wake. Oh, and Christine Caran has a new book coming out. Ooh-hoo-hoo. Very exciting. She's an awesome artist, and she's just done so much work. Ooh, and we're visiting Christine Caran. Will be doing January's colour along next year, so we'll be seeing her early in the year. For another exclusive colour along. For you lovely subscribers. Just lining in these trees, like trying to define them a little bit but keep them rough looking. We don't want them to be in the focus. We want our kitty to be our main focus. We do. They're coming together. These trees come together right now. Anyway. He's looking cool, huh? Hi, Christy. Welcome. Oh, Pat, she's so cute. Can I show it? Can I show it, please? Oh, well, you posted on Instagram. I'm going to show her. Look. Look at this. She's gorgeous. Look at that tiny little bubba. Oh, makes our hearts just grow big, doesn't it? She's gorgeous. I've got some E74. Just going to fill out all the gaps now. Just join everything together. Lovely. And then we're going to cover it all with green. Yep. I reckon green. Although I have this beautiful orangey coloured sky there. Just going to fill in this tree here. This one's quite thick. There's probably a couple of other thicker trees in there too, but it's not going to make much difference, I don't think. Let's colour that one in. I'm just kind of doing a few little, like, I guess flicks in towards the fur in these areas as well, so that they kind of blend in behind him. It's a pretty strange looking tree, isn't it? It'll do. Looks like actually this comes up here and there's like another tree behind it there. That's what makes it look kind of out of shape, but that's alright. Looks cool. Just blend it off a little bit. Okay, I'm quite happy with that. Okay, now I want to use green, but I think I might go with like a bit of a yellow green. What have we got? A little bit of YG95. Just gonna, most of this is kind of smudged across the page, like looking across the page like that. So that's what I'm going to do. Come across all of that brown, come darker areas first. Coming over the top of the trees. So we can just see that orange in between the trees. I don't actually have a refill for this one, so I may have to stop here and move on to the next lightest colour. It's a bit frustrating, isn't it? Sorry. Changing colours all the time. Absolutely adorable. What, this picture? Oh, thank you. Got YG93. These are actually newer markers. So it's probably why I don't have refills yet. Gets to that, I only get a few a month, so it's hard to sort of get everything at once, of course. This is going to be trimmed off the side here, so you won't be able to see the excess over the edge there. And also running out of this colour. So we're going to move on to the next colour. We've got YG91. I'm trying to come in between the trees as well, trying to fill in all the gaps. I want to cover all of the paper. I don't want to have any white showing through. It's especially important when doing grayscale. You want to make sure that the paper's covered so you can't see that it's a grayscale. Alright, no more. It's gone. Need to find another one. Alright, let's go with a little bit of something brighter this time, maybe. Let's do some G21. It's got less olive in it. Coming over some more of the tree areas, and now you can see that that pink sky is sort of poking through parts of it. Even though it's fairly thick with trees, we can still see some of that through there, which is what I wanted. Oh, it's starting to look really cool, huh? I'm going to go upside down so I can make sure I'm getting in all of those white gaps. So great bringing these things to life. I can hear Nani playing down there. We took her to my dad's this weekend after I went to the hairdressers all day. Went and had some fish and chips with my dad. Took Nani down to his little, he's got a little block. It's like a quarter acre maybe not even that. It's tiny. And she ran around there, but we got attacked by mozzies. Mosquitoes. We call them mozzies here. Need a drink. I probably should have had a break already, actually. Alright, how's he looking? He needs something. Something's not quite right here. He needs a little bit of a light just above his eye there. That's better. Maybe a little bit just underneath there too. That's better. It sort of sits out a little bit better now. Just bringing these whiskers out over the trees there. Okay, that needs a little bit of white gel pen. One of these wasn't working and I still haven't thrown it away. It's quite possible that one. The first one I picked up. Let's try that one. I just want to put a couple of flecks. This is the Jelly Roll pen. This is a smaller one. Number 5. Just to put some fine white flecks through that whisker. I'm going to be an old cat lady. Oh, isn't he cute? Isn't he cute? He's adorable. Let's finish the bottom here. So down the bottom here, I'm going to use a darker green maybe. Let's go with, I like the YGs. They're kind of, they've got like an olivey colour to them, but I think I need to go stick with that so that they kind of come in together with the eyes and everything. So maybe, I don't know how much is left of these, so... Refills. Let me look. IG95 has got a refill, so let's use that. Thank you, Christy. Oh, I might have overfilled that. Too busy reading the chat. I've got ink all over me now. Okay, I'm just going to use a little bit of YG 97. Just a little bit. A couple of these sections down here. And then I've got YG95. I'm just going to flick in towards the hair. So we've got that texture still sitting on the outside of the kitty. We're just blending it all in the background here, so there's no defined lines, or it's all kind of blurry, to keep our kitty in the foreground here and coming forward. Just flicking in towards the fur, so we get a little bit of a jagged line there, and then just blending it all out. How easy is it to get these pretty effects with markers and grayscale? Okay, background's done. Just add a little bit of this into the there a little bit more, and blend it out just with that G21 again. Getting it to blend in. Back to the catty. see, Deb. No worries, we're nearly done. Elise. Elsie. That's funny. No worries, May. Thanks for dropping in. I'm sure I'll be seeing you around. Let's go in with our W9 to our dark flicks again. So the reason we didn't do it completely black is because he's got, like, I'm just assuming he's got the sunlight shining on him, and you can see these shiny patches of fur. So he would be black in certain lights, but he's not going to be pitch black. He's going to have different colours through him depending on what light he's in. I'm being quite rough down the bottom here. I wanted most of the detail of him in his face, so we've done that already. Just flicking back in the opposite direction in some of those areas, just so I'm getting a bit of texture both ways, kind of like I do with hair. He's looking cool. So if you're not a cat person, that's fine, because Lisa's book has puppy dogs too. So there's a bit of everything. If you're looking to do more in-depth tutorial on fur, I did do a couple of months ago a couple of videos on fur, and also a free colouring page that I drew of a puppy dog as well. So check that out on Patreon for patrons. I did a couple of videos. I did a cat and I did the dog with markers, and also the dog with pencils. And then I did a dog that I drew with pencil as well. Had heaps of fun with that. But fur is quite easy to do. You just gotta get out and practice those flicks. Flick, 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 flick. Got a bit of a change in direction of fur down here. It's coming down the back, but then obviously his legs are coming down here in the front of him now, so these hairs are sort of flicking in this direction now. Those are going that way, and then these are coming this way. Just going backwards and forwards down there a bit. Still going to be able to see some of my brown coming through. checking that I've covered over most of those dark areas now. I hope you enjoyed this one. I sent Lisa a bit of a message to say I was going to be live, but it kind of was a last minute thing, I decided. But yeah, she's really awesome, and she'll probably post this on her Instagram when it's done too. Don't forget there'll be a colour list for patrons as well. I've almost finished, so I'm just trying to finish up what I needed to say before I'm done. Now W7. Just flicking over the top of that previous colour, coming out now over some of those lighter grey areas. Now I shouldn't be able to see any of the actual darkest areas of the paper. We should have covered those now with these darker colours. Created a little bit of texture. That's what the flicks do, just creates texture, makes it look like fur. Long hairs, short hairs. Some of these will be smoothed out a little bit where it will look like it is a bit of a highlight. There won't be as much texture where the highlight is because obviously the sun's reflecting on it or the light's reflecting on it. So you're not going to see as much of the texture in that area. It will probably look a little bit smoother. Oh, I'm liking this kitty, he's so cute. Oh, Helen, thank you so much. Thank you for being here. And thank you guys. I've got some new admins in my group too, which is Abby and Helen. Gonna help out a little bit. Get so busy in there. Got new people coming in every day. Just helping me keep an eye on things. Especially because I'm in Australia at night, most of the US folks out there are out doing their days when I'm asleep in bed, so got some W5. Just flicking out over the green a little bit now. You can still see some of the brown spots through here. sounds like the postie coming past. My actual postie's on holiday, so we've got a replacement one at the moment. Oh, I think it just started raining. I'm hearing things. That could happen too. Could just be hearing things. Just going back off the edge of the page into that bottom area there as well, just so I've got colour on all of that. Alright, now any other areas that are left, I'm going to come in with that W3 and finish it all off, and then I'm done. Oh, thank you, Mrs. Coffee. Welcome. Busy lady. This is my Copic magic happening here. My rough, just go for it kind of I guess technique, maybe. It's not mine, but I like to do this way. Just need to come over that very edge bit and add some green there. We're done. Make sure I haven't missed any sections. Make sure he's still nice and smooth, even though he's got texture. He's looking pretty good to me. Oh, he's looking cute. Oh, he's amazing. I'm going to add a little bit of yellow into the background. So I've got Y21. I just want to brighten that up a little bit. Cool. Yeah, that's good. That marker's dying too. At least I refilled the greys, which we used the most of today. I did do a flip through already, but I'm going to do another one for you. How about I do that now, and then we'll come back and I'll finish up. Alright, we'll do a flip through. See you in a minute. So there you go. That was it again. And here is our kitty finished. She's pretty groovy. He is, I should say. I've named him Lulu in honor of my Lucifer. Lucifer was shorter haired though. He was like, if I took a photo of him in the sun, he looked like a panther. So if you took a photo in the grass, it could look like that I was taking a photo of a panther rather than a cat. He was very cute. I'm just going to add a couple of little white flecks just on the outside of his ears here using a gel pen, and just on the outside of the eye there a little bit. And maybe just a little bit on the nose there. And also making sure that the very tips of these whiskers have got a bit of white just so they stand out. But yeah, I think that's good. Popped a couple of flicks on the very outside of him as well there, just to add some light reflecting on them. I just need to add just a little bit more of that YG95 in towards this, so it doesn't look quite so much like a line. Blending that in a little bit. And then a little bit more of the 74 just down in here, just getting rid of that line, or the appearance of a line that was there. Yeah, that's a bit better. Much better. And then I can just use that white pencil just to flick a couple of white flicks out there. You can still see the colour of the tree behind him then. He's very cute. He is very cute. Just popping those finishing touches in. But he's adorable. Adorable. So guys, I hope you enjoyed today's video. I will just be colouring and a flip through of today's video as well later on this week, so that there's a fast one for those that didn't get to watch the whole video or would prefer to see it that fast. But a big thank you to everybody who's come along. I will see you on Friday and we'll do something from Nathaniel Waite's new book. I don't know what I'm going to do from here. But going into steampunk, this is not really steampunk at all, but he has a image in the steampunk event, so I figured why not kick that off with one of his books as well. So this is his newest one, so we'll do a flip through and something in that on Friday, and we'll do the ballerina next month. But I will see you all on Friday. Enjoy the rest of your week. I will put the colour list and the conversion chart to Prismacolor, Polychromos, Black Widows, Holbens, Pablos, and Shapir Farben on for patrons. I nearly said for Patreons. For patrons. So if you guys want to check that out there too, you can. But thank you very much. Big thank you to all of my admin and also Alicia for helping me out. Oh, Pam. I'm sorry. But luckily you can rewatch it and go back. Thank you very much, guys. Bye. Have a good day.